This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Tech, show number 152, recorded on January 23rd, 2014. Here at Home Tech, we cover all your favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all through the Average Tech Guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in a very brisk and cold, like -4-degree Bellevue, Nebraska. We post the show with world-class show notes each week out at the AverageGuy.tv. If you have questions, comments, or contributions, you can contact the show. Just send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv, or you can track me down on Twitter at jcollison. Or now, and I've been saying this for a couple weeks now, call in your questions. We've had a couple do that. 402-478-8450. Call me. Just leave a message. I'm not going to answer it, I'll be honest with you. 402-478-8450. Call in your questions. We'll play them on the show, and I'd like to hear from you that way. We're now using Chatwing for your chat, for our chat down below. And you can log in with either Facebook, Twitter, Google+, or Chatwing, or just as a guest if you like. Many of you guys know how to do that now. We also have a Live 2 option if you go to theaverageguy.tv/live2. That's more optimized for a tablet. So if you're watching it on an iPad or Windows Surface device, you'll want to watch it over at Live 2. And if you want a chat-only page, you can join us at theaverageguy.tv/chat, and that should be good for all devices, although not all mobile devices will allow you to do both chat and the video at the same time. If you get some feedback on that, let me know, jim@theaverageguy.tv. All that navigation can be found in the upper right-hand corner out there at theaverageguy.tv. All right, I'm pretty pumped about tonight's show. Carrie Adams is here, and Carrie is a good friend of mine. We go way, way, way back in podcasting. Carrie was around when I first started podcasting, and actually we did, if you go back to the fitness tech shows that I used to do, Carrie, I think you're number 3 or 4 on fitness tech. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. And we won't be talking about fitness.
No, that
really.
is kind of weird. Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll sneak it in somehow.
A little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll sneak it in somehow. But you joined me for fitness tech. We did quite a few of those. We kind of launched, we got your blog launched and going. We did Spartan Radio, which if you followed me for any length of time, you know, we did about 30-some shows, I think, with Spartan Radio, and had a great time doing that.
That was a riot, yeah. That was just crazy fun. That was a blast, yes.
So catch me up with what's going on with you. I know since the last time we talked to you, you've gone to a new company. The reason I've got you on tonight is to talk a little bit about that. We've got some cool battery discussions going on, and you're going to make batteries cool. I'm going to make them tonight.
Yes. That is my goal. No, it's funny because when we did Spartan Radio, the jokes were around how completely low tech I was. I'm sort of, you talk about smartphones, and I was kind of like carrier pigeon technology. Like that was really kind of where I was at. So was with Spartan for 3 years, loved it, had a really great time. Found an opportunity with a local company here in Omaha. So
because you were traveling a lot with Spartan.
Oh
right?
Yeah, traveling a lot. Just it was a really crazy pace. The growth had really expanded. I teach a class over Creighton now too, so it was getting increasingly difficult to maintain some of that scheduling, and had this opportunity with this company in town. It's actually a national distributor of wireless retail accessories, which is kind of funny if you know me, that's the world I'm in, because I barely, can use my iPhone half the time. And actually, here's what's funny. When I got an iPhone, I was like the late adopter. That was when everyone started going over to Samsung. Like it was just, that's me. That's my track record. So, started working with them, and really what drew me to this company, among a lot of things. So they're a distributor that has, all these other cool things that they do. But one of the things that they have is the exclusive distribution rights for a product called Powerocks, which is a portable charging solution. And very, very similar to kind of how Spartan was attractive to me, was this really amazing product that is, when I think about just 4 months ago, when I didn't know that these existed and how much I use mine now, it didn't really have that. It didn't have a brand. It didn't have some of the things that I knew the potential was there. So it kind of became this, I want to take this on, and I want to tell people about this product. And it was a very easy transition. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's a very functional product. It's easy for me to talk about it. Well, I can talk about pretty much anything, but it's easy to talk about. And, you know, we just came back from CES and we had a great time there, and we're poised for big things this year. So it's exciting. It's exciting stuff.
We were talking in the pre-show that, you know, it's a weird world when you're working for technology, you're at CES, and I'm not. I mean, it's like what's happened
How
here
did that happen? The world is not right. The world does.
Carrie, there were many days. I remember I was out at your place fixing your computer when things were going wrong, and I was kind of your tech guy for a lot of the stuff that we did.
Yes.
And so it's been fun to watch you get into technology a little bit and just kind of learn and grow from that standpoint. So another funny story. So I got contacted from Powerocks, I think. Hey, you want to review? We're trying to find bloggers and stuff like that. Not even you, not right?
No.
Not you, somebody else. And I'm like, sure. And so I threw it on the Facebook page, and one of the guys, Christopher Brown, responded to it and said, yeah, I'd love to review one of those. And so we had him ship it out. And then a couple days later, I get this note from you, or somehow it came around full circle.
I saw you post about it, and I was like, what? And I mean, I knew we were doing this outreach, and I had absolutely nothing to do with that. And so I messaged you like, you know, I work for them, right? And no, I didn't know that. And so it's just really funny sort of connection, and that's kind of how we started talking about it. And I actually loved, and this was after the blog had been written, so I just, for disclaimer's sake, it was written completely, you know, unbiased.
Yeah.
But
no,
it was really well written. It was really good, and it was, you know, we sort of did this technology pitch. You know, we wanted people that understood and used technology all the time to be the ones talking about it and to use it and to sort of field test it for us. And that's what we got. We got some really great stuff.
Good. Well, we liked it. It was a good opportunity to test that. Christopher had some good things to say about it. He had some concerns. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Mm-hmm. And you even mentioned it in the pre-show. But let's talk a little bit about. Let's dive into the Magic Stick, because that's kind of what we went with to begin with. Talk a little bit about where that fits into the market. That's kind of your most popular, at least battery product at this point.
Yeah. So, and in fact, and I didn't even do this on purpose, but my phone was dying, so I'm actually charging my phone with one right now.
Oh, nice. So you're talking to me. We're podcasting with your phone, which is amazing to begin with, right?
Yeah.
And you're on an iPhone, right?
Yes.
And
iPhone 5.
The battery's running low, and you got to plug it into a Magic Stick.
Yeah. So when we first started talking, my battery was at 57%, and it's at 63% now, and I have probably all of my apps open right now. So it's actively charging while we're talking. So it's really nice. But the Magic Stick is really, all the products are lithium-ion technology. So we can dive as deep into that as you want, which is kind of fun that I can say that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let me show them. I'm going to show them the Magic Stick here. We'll just throw that up for them to take a look at. It's really kind of a light and portable. You just showed that. It's like a really small flashlight. So it fits just about anywhere. Throw it in your pocket, throw it in your purse, throw it in a jacket pocket.
Yep.
It can kind of go with you. The version we have, 2,800 milliamps.
Yep, 2,800 milliamps. That's going to get the average smartphone 2 full recharges before it needs to be recharged. So
how long does it take to recharge the device itself usually?
It's the same speed as like a wall charge. So I mean, you're going to get, so if I'm using, you're going to expend about 1,000 milliamps an hour.
Okay, and when I want to recharge the Magic Stick, how long is it going to take me to?
It's the same. The discharge and so. One of the things about this technology, and this is where, you know, portable charging is becoming more and more accepted. It's becoming more and more, you know, people are realizing how valuable this is. And so one of the things that our batteries do that's kind of unique is when you get to a full charge, you're at 4.2 volts. And when it discharges down to 3 volts. So it doesn't discharge below that. So you always have 3 volts of charge, even when the product is considered dead, when it starts to recharge again. What that does is extend how many times you can recycle that charge. So our product, you're looking at about 500 cycles of charge and discharge before that technology starts to decline. And even then, it's going to go to like 80% of what you would expect it to be performing at. So that's a big part of even just having that conversation, understanding what that means. The efficiency of the charge. Obviously, every time you take that power source and you're attaching cords, you start to lose efficiency as it goes into the product it's trying to charge. Our efficiency rate is 90%. So that's pretty high in terms of this industry. And then the product itself, and this spans all of them. I promise I'll keep the geek speak after this kind of low.
No, we want geek speak.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
No, bring it on. We're all nerds here.
My kids just like nod off, and I get really excited about it, and they're just like, whatever,
Yeah.
But like these, for example, it's a lithium ion, so it's lithium ion salt. These are not handmade, so when you stack them, it's really easy to stack them and have them fit. So it's able to retain a very powerful charge in a very safe package. And these are metal cases, which is extremely important as well from a safety standpoint. All of our products have a chip inside the motherboard, so they will not overheat. To have this type of technology, regardless of whether you're lithium ion or you're, a lot of people call them like a polymer technology, which not exactly true. The electrolyte that's inside of this, that's what can become unstable. So ours is kind of like a liquid. The polymers is more like a gel. So these are actually extremely stable, but they can still be extremely powerful and compact. This one actually is the Flash Magic Stick. Mine's a flashlight.
So
it was so
the
funny
regular
because
one
people
doesn't
thought the
have...
LED lights on the...
sorry.
No, the regular one, it's okay. No, the other one, it's an LED light that gives you an indication of charge. So when it's blue, it's fully charged down to 70%, green is 70 to 30, red is 30 and below. But people kept thinking that it was a flashlight. So we said, well, fine, we'll give you a flashlight then. So we do have a flashlight, and it actually has just the LED, and then it has a slow strobe, and then it actually has a distress strobe, which is kind of cool. So,
that's the disco light right there.
It is. That's the party. That's the party light. So yeah. So we, the Magic Stick is by far our biggest seller. It's the smallest from a pricing standpoint. It's our least expensive. It's $39.99 MSRP. So when you buy that and you're getting 500 cycles of charge, you're going to be able to use this product for a very long time. The defective rate is less than 1%, and that's not only does that come from our lithium ion technology lab, which has an MFI approval. Apple has not only come in and approved the products themselves, but the lab that they use in China. Like, it's a very big deal. They're actually consultants to the government on safety and portable charging. So that's important in this industry. Obviously, If you're carrying it, you want it to be safe and reliable first. Otherwise, what's the point? So we actually
you don't want it exploding in your pocket, right?
Correct. Or like burning your leg, or like leaking.
Anything
so
like
we
that.
Actually did our own. We've been distributing this product in the U.S. exclusively since 2011. So we actually did our own testing on the defective rate over the last 3 years, and our defective rate, meaning doesn't start when you try to use it, like it arrives, doesn't work, was 0.86%.
That's pretty low.
That's really low. So we do come in under that 1%. So it's really kind of cool. But the Magic Stick, it's extremely beneficial for those use cases where I'm going to be at the game all day. I'm going to leave for work in the morning, and I'm going to go to a dinner afterwards. I'm going to be out all day long, because you're going to get, that 2 charges that you might need if you're using your phone a lot. But we talk to people a lot about, understand what devices do you have, first of all, and what's your lifestyle like, because the Magic Stick will charge 7 different types of devices. It'll charge GPS, cameras, portable like iPods, things like that. But when you think about like an e-reader, the average e-reader is going to be about 3,200 milliamps. So a 2800 isn't going to get you a full charge. So if that's your primary device, then you're going to want to go up and escalate to higher levels of capacity. So our capacity levels range from the 2800, the Flash Magic Stick's actually 3000. We have 6000, 7400. We have 9000,
in that same form factor? Carrie?
The Magic Stick is the 2800 and 3000 milliamp. Then
Okay.
it becomes that stackable, that square. But the 12,000 milliamp is still very small. And in fact, I have one around here somewhere. I'll go grab it. But very small. It's dense, so it's I wouldn't use the word heavy, but it's very sturdy. Like you can definitely tell it's a well packaged product. But that has 2 charging ports, so I can actually charge 2 devices at once. So I was actually stuck in the airport where was I going? New York. I was coming back from New York. I was stuck in the airport for like 6 hours, and I charged e-reader, smartphone, iPod, all still had juice when I got home. Everything was 100%. So it's kind of, what are my needs? If you have an iPad, that's going to need a higher milliamp. So we talk a lot about, price point wise, the 1200 milliamp is only $109.99. So it's not like you're going to kill yourself to get a really nice high capacity charger if you need one. So, we actually had a good friend of mine. He did the Spartan races actually. He got 7th in the world. He's also a ridiculous extreme landscape photographer. He took our products into New Zealand. He was going in for a photo shoot. We gave him a bunch of products, and he was actually able to go further into the field than he's ever gone before because our products helped him to do that. And so he was charging camera equipment, his GPS, his phone, and they're extremely helpful. And in fact, one of the questions that somebody had for us was, okay, well, obviously given the frigid temperatures, how do these products work in the cold? And he was there when it was very cold, and he said they performed just fine. So that's kind of a good thing to know. We're high advocates of obviously the convenience is obvious. I have an on-the-go lifestyle no matter who I am and what I do. But it's kind of that use case of worst case scenario. I need this because something happened. When the tornadoes went through Illinois, we had a client there, and we ended up donating like 5,000 units to the Red Cross and just said, give them to people that need them, because charging at that point is beyond a convenience or a luxury. It's a need. And to be able to stay in contact when you don't have power with your loved ones and let them know you're okay, that's a huge thing, and that's an extremely important thing. And we're actually working right now on some messaging around including portable charging solution as part of your emergency preparedness.
Yeah, it's a good idea. You never, you think about what you need when things go down, and if in an extended time period, you kind of run out of options, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, well, what do I do now? What do I got? You got a couple different products out there. We talked about the Magic Stick. Talk a little bit about, so let me just kind of roll through some of these, and you kind of give me some ideas, and we'll include the link.
Okay.
We're just at powerocks.com if folks want to go out and look. But
go to powerrocksusa.com.
USA.
Yep, Powerocks USA. Powerocks with 1 R.
USA. Yeah, 1 R. Let's get rid of the rest of this stuff going forward.
We have a pretty fancy website.
Oh, fancy.
Very fancy.
And so let's see. Let me go here. Let's see, devices. Take a peek at. Let's do it by product there. There we go. Yeah. So let me throw this up on the screen here so folks can take a peek at this, and let's just walk through. So we talked about the Magic Stick, the 2800. Talk a little bit. So the Rose Stone.
Yes.
Rose 6,000 milliamps.
Yep, 6,000 milliamps. That's a great product. I actually of course I have all these products, but that's a good one to travel with. So 6,000 milliamp, you're going to get yourself 4 to 5 smartphone charges, which is really convenient. Now, and your audience probably knows better than anybody, the different smartphones have different capacity needs. So the Samsungs tend to have a little bit higher need than the Apples, for example. So that's going to vary slightly. But a 6,000 milliamp is a pretty nice option to have. All of these products come with the micro USB charger. So they all come with a charger and like a carrying case. Good instructions, that whole thing. But once you finish charging your mobile device, when you want to recharge it, you just flip that around and you plug it into your wall charger or, whatever your charger, your wall, your computer, whatever that is, and it'll just charge the device right back up too.
Just flip it around.
Yeah.
So on the end, like especially on the Magic Stick, you can see it's got that regular USB and then the micro USB. So just pull
Correct.
that out, flip it around, plug it back in, and get recharged. So what's the difference? You got the Rose Stone and then a Magic Cube. Both seem to have the same.
Yep, so the Magic Cube has actually there's 4 different milliamps. There's 6,000, 9,000, 7,800, and 12,000. And right now we're having our 7,800s are 40, 50% off, something like that. So it's not listed here, but if you go into our shop, you'll see the 7,800 is on sale for $39.99. It's usually like $79.
Oh, that's not a bad deal.
It's a great deal, and it's only going on for a week. So, and we always have free shipping, which is fabulous. We have a 120-day warranty, which is obviously pretty convenient. So if you go into Magic Cube, it'll pull up all those different versions, and the 7800 is the one that's on sale right now. So definitely check that out. That 7800 is a great milliamp capacity because you're going to be able to charge multiple devices, including iPads. So that's a great deal. And for the safety and the and all of that, you're getting along with it, the reliability. That's pretty fantastic. So the cool thing about the Magic Cubes is the hardware is connected. So there's an additional USB drive in there if you can kind of see it when you zoom in. Yep. So you have your micro, you have your standard wall charger, and then you have an additional USB drive so you can actually charge 2 devices at once. Actually, several of our devices give you the ability to charge more than one device at a time. So like for me, either I'm traveling and I want to charge more than one thing, or I have 2 kids and I'm with them and we're in the car driving somewhere and they both need to charge something. It's just extremely convenient to have 2 options. And this is compatible with like 10 devices. I mean, you start to get into those higher capacity things like those iPads that this is a great use case for.
Oh, I see that. I was wondering what that other cable coming off was over here, and that's just the cover, right? So
yeah, just the lid. Yep.
You got a lid. Yeah.
Yep. And they just snap right back in. You put the lid back on top. So that way you're not worrying about cords and trying to find your stuff. It's all right there.
Yeah. No, very cool.
And there's lots of colors. You know, the funny thing, I hear that all the time about the colors. People love that we have bright colors and, you know, we have all these different options. If you go back into the actual website, that was one of the things that we got a lot of feedback on was being able to have, especially in the Magic Sticks, all these different color options. And we actually can engrave as well. So we can add engraving to these. So we've done a bunch of logos. We're actually the charging partners for the New York Islanders. So anytime when we first started with them, their whole team, we gave them like their number and their name and the logo
nice.
for the Islanders. And we also sponsor the NHRA Pro Mod series. And so we do some cool stuff with that. And so it's kind of, you know, there's kind of some interesting stuff you can do with engraving those. We were actually picked for the VMA swag bags last year. So how cool is that? It's just great. It's a great gift. It's a great thing to have. And for the price and for how many recycled charges you get, it's pretty sweet. I'm pretty excited about my little charger.
Yeah. No, in that 7,800 milliamps. So I mean, it's a great price right now at $40. Yeah. How many? So on a standard cell phone, am I going to get 4 or 5 charges out of that? If I does it kind of translates this just that way?
Yep, it'll be 4 to 5.
Yeah.
And kind of when you think about when it's charging, because people ask me this all the time. So when you are pouring liquid into a glass, when you first start, you can pour pretty fast. And then as you start to get to the top, you've got to slow down. So it's got to be kind of a slow trickle so that you don't overflow. So what we tend to tell people is for the number of milliamps that it is, it'll last for that many hours plus an hour. So it would be about 8 hours plus an hour, so 9 hours.
Okay.
So if you're planning, for planning purposes.
Right.
And the nice thing too is when they're not being used, they don't discharge. So they could sit for 2 weeks and you're going to turn it on and it's going to have very minimal discharge on it. So the helpful thing, especially like for my 12-year-old who will not remember to plug it in or keep it plugged in, it'll, you know, we tell people when you get it at home, even after it's shipped from China to us and we distribute out of Omaha, you're going to get 80% charge, if not more, when it gets to you in your home or in your store.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things, you know, batteries are coming a long way in the technology and I was just reading some articles this week, kind of getting ready for this interview, and just in the technology that we're using, let's talk a little bit. You had mentioned a little bit about the different kinds of lithium ion. Those are in bags, right? That's from what I understand.
Ours are not. Those are the
Okay.
soft pouch is what you're thinking of. So the soft pouch is handmade. There's similarities between soft pouch and what we do in lithium ion, and we have a specific like number and a trademark technology that is the type of technology used in Powerocks. There's some, issue with soft pouches, and a lot of it comes down to the safety. It's not as easy to control. It's not as easy to maintain safety. You see things like leaking, warping of the things that they're in, and they just don't. You can't stack those things because they're not dimensionally perfect. It's you're having different people make them. So one of the reference points I give people is to make 10,000 units where we are, it takes 400 people. If you're doing it in a soft pouch, it would take 4,000 people. Just a lot more man hours to do that, or
Sure.
bodies, I should say, to do that. One of the new cool technologies that we introduced at CES was actually an interactive app. So it's called the Smart Bank. The Smart Bank is 8,400 milliamps. And there's an app on your phone that starts to learn your usage. So it'll start to predict when you need to plug in your phone. It will literally, and because it's inside the phone, the closeness to accuracy is perfect. So it will tell you, it literally has like 11 different data points. It's more than you would ever really need to know, but it's cool to have. But it'll start to predict your usage patterns and recommend different times for you to charge your phone. And it has a save feature. So at night, if you want to turn off all your push notifications, it'll do that. So it'll conserve your battery overnight. It's kind of nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you find, so now that you're doing, you're working with all that stuff, do you plug your phone into your battery at home at night to charge it, or do you go right to the wall?
I do. I have, and I'll show it to you because it's my favorite. We have two different versions of this.
Hold on, mobile podcasting, right? It's happening right here. We're mobile podcasting with Carrie Adams.
We are. We're mobile. I'm walking around my house at the moment. So this one is actually, mine is a 3000, I think. Yeah, this is a 3000. So this one actually plugs into the wall. Can you see that?
Yep. Yeah. So
then the front side has the LED lights, so you know how charged it is. But this one has one USB port. The 6000 has two, so you can charge two devices at once. But I'll plug this into the wall and then plug my device into this so they're both charging at the same time. And then I'll take it out and I'll just pop that closed and drop it in my bag. Right. So this one is one of my favorites. I have a whole wall of Powerocks over here. I have
Of course you do. We would be sad if you didn't.
This one is oh, I just dropped it. Now it's rolling away from me. Okay, so this is the actual Magic Stick, the original, the 2800, and that's that LED light. So that's going to tell me if you can see it.
Blue when it's charged?
Yep, so it's blue. So it's fully charged. I have a gold one. Kind of some cool stuff over here.
Some bling.
My 12,000 I think is upstairs, but I literally have just scattered about the house.
Yeah.
My daughter has a purple Magic Stick, so that's what she uses. But I'll plug mine into my wall, and then that becomes my mobile charger too, because it's just super convenient. And then the flashlights I actually use a lot. My boyfriend does all these races, and actually for the team death race that they did just this last October, he was crewing for them, and they used them, and they were extremely helpful. And he's doing the death race again this summer, and he's going to have a whole bag full of them.
Of course he will. He can charge his stuff on the go, right?
If we could charge him so he could go, 60 hours, that would be helpful. But
so
yeah,
for folks who don't know what the death race is, just give a 30-second synopsis of what these guys do during the death race.
It's an extreme survival challenge. So they're outside for 60 plus hours doing things and not able to get access to electricity or even do things like sleep, that kind of thing. But really the reason why I brought that up is these products are extremely helpful for people with a very outdoor lifestyle. If the flash Magic Sticks especially, which were also new at CES, I just attach it to my pack. I just have this for me makes a lot of sense. And the LED battery is not going to drain the lithium ion. It's just going to be this extra thing that you have. And so it adds additional functionality to something that's already very convenient. But for anyone that hikes or climbs, we have a ton of people that do these races, or they're, you know, we're in a lot of places like backwoods and, you know, these types of outdoor retailers where that's what their clients want. They don't want to worry. They don't want to think about, you know, I have a portable charger. The idea is we're giving you the ability to not have to worry about that. Like the fact that, you know, I had a friend that lives in Arizona and he wanted to do these 3 peaks. And he's like, I've never been able to do all 3 before because my GPS would go out. And he said with this, he was able to go all day. And he just had the Magic Stick. He was able to go all day and he was able to keep his GPS charged up so he could go do these things. And so it's not just a convenient tool. It's like you can actually plan different activities because you don't have to worry about power. And until you're living in that, it's unfathomable. Like I can't picture not having mine now, as silly as that sounds. To be able to go and travel, especially when I'm traveling, or I have the girls and Kate has the Kindle and she's using that and Taylor has her phone, and it's like they're just such battery sucks. To have something where you can keep that charged, it's just invaluable.
Yeah, when I flew overseas this last spring and I was in Germany, you know, that is when you really realize how much battery power you need, because you know, you're on the aircraft for 7-8 hours at a time, and if you're using, you know, most devices won't make it that far.
No.
And I've got an older one, really, that desperately needs replacing. I'm taking a look at that special deal you guys got going on, because I was just using it the other day. It's probably 3 years old now, and I tried using it the other day while I was traveling, and my phone zapped it like that. So it's probably dead at this point, or not holding a charge. The
technology is not designed to exist beyond certain levels, and so you know that's kind of how it's supposed to go. But still, I think especially with the FAA changes regulations. So now you can use your portable device below 10,000 feet. Now they're talking about, should we let people talk on their phones above 10,000 feet? And power aside, I do not want to hear people talking on their phones above 10,000 feet. So that's my vote. But
I know.
You know,
everybody seems to have that same opinion, by the way. It's a
terrible idea.
For those of us who fly quite a bit, you know, you're like, no, don't talk. Don't hold your meetings in the plane.
No, so we have a whole sales team, and you know, this week they canceled 1,900 flights, and the week of CES they canceled 5,000 flights.
Yeah, it was horrible.
We had people stuck. We had a group of people stuck in St. Louis, between New York and St. Louis, to get to Vegas. They were stuck there overnight, and they were the only people that were able to keep their phones charged because they had their chargers with them. So it didn't matter that they were overnight. They got to us, they still had charge in their battery. Life was good. And they were delayed by, like I said, 24 hours. It was crazy. And we had people, I actually had a guy from Macworld. He walked up to me and he had his camera and he had all his stuff. And he's like, I need to show you something. And he sets down his bag and he pulls out a black Magic Stick. And he's like, I love this thing. I take it with me everywhere. And I was like, yes, that is what we want to hear.
Yeah, you got to love it when you get a customer like that comes up and says, yeah, man, I can't recommend this thing enough, you know?
Oh, yeah. And that's really it. I mean, that's why we come to people like you, and, you know, why we want to talk to people who follow your show, because we know how much you appreciate your technology and how much you value the technology. And there are a lot of products in this market. There are a lot. And there's a huge difference in trying to explain the value difference between what we sell and the technology that's there and the safety and like all of those features and what that means. Because people are just like, well, yeah, but I can get I can get 2 of them for $19. Yeah, and it might have sand in it when you get it home. You know, it's like, as this industry continues to grow, I think people are going to start to be more savvy about what they're using and what they're plugging their phone into. Because there's been some serious incidences in China with batteries that have caused some major issues. And, you know, I wouldn't personally let my 12-year-old daughter run around using a product if I thought it might, you know, melt or explode in her pocket. You know, that's just,
Yeah,
Don't want to do that.
China doesn't have the best safety track record at this point. Let's just be honest.
Well, and for us, we do all the distribution out of Omaha, which is really nice. We do all the warranty management, all the customer management here, and so we have the best of both worlds. We're leveraging a 20-year-old company that specializes in this kind of technology, that does car batteries, that does all these incredible things, is an industry leader in their country. But then we get to manage our market here, and we get to manage the customer service, and we get to do all that kind of stuff. And they're really great partners, and they were at CES, and we had a really great time, and they're so knowledgeable about this industry. It's really cool. So it's a good move for us.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. I was really excited to hear that, because you're in a tech company now.
Yeah.
And I've been really working on the podcast of getting some local Omaha folks. Last week we had Drew Davies from Oxide Design here in town, and then I'm working on the guy from Silicon Prairie, our Midwest technology newspaper.
Yeah.
I'm working on him too, so it's fit in nicely, because I'm trying to get some local folks, and it was just good to have you back. It was
it's great. It's great. I mean, obviously,
Radio days.
I'm not talking about bacon today,
which is a disappointment, actually.
Or like the tragic Lincoln Run where I nearly collapsed in the Walgreens parking lot.
Hey, I got to tell that story again, where we talk about technology. You and I did. I think I was talking with Seahall, and Carrie and I had run a 20-mile race together, and as we got to mile 18, we crossed the finish line of the. It was just a 10-mile race, and we had gotten there early, and we were running it twice, and so we're crossing the finish line, and Carrie looks over at me and shouts, "Pause activity! Pause activity!" And that of course is the code on Runkeeper to shut off your GPS.
Yes.
It's a little button. It says pause activity.
I did not want my splits to suffer because we were stopping to say hello to a few people.
It was, we were hurting too. I mean, that had been a long day.
What it was? It was the fact that we stopped.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just I just remember that was a very long day of running as we put our 20-milers, 20-milers in. So, yeah, back in the days when I would run marathons.
It didn't help. It didn't help that I, had just come off of mono. That was probably not my best decision.
The good old days. The good old days when Carrie would run with stress fractures.
Still happens.
Awful. Any other tech, Carrie, that you're just not necessarily related to work, but any other tech that you're just that you can't live without at this point that you're using a lot of?
Totally. So I am on the Chromecast bandwagon big time. Like my boyfriend got the Chromecast for me a few months ago, and I'm the girl that can never sit down and watch TV on a regular basis at the same time and the same night. So I've notoriously not followed TV programs because I can't. I can't know that on a Sunday night at 8 o'clock I'm going to be around. So on Sunday nights on Facebook, when the feed would fill up with Breaking Bad and the zombie show, and I didn't know what was going on, and I felt really disconnected. And so he got this for me, and we can stream Netflix and Hulu Plus, and I don't even need cable anymore. It's amazing. And so for what. And we have YouTube. I can stream it from my Kindle, from my phone, from my computer. Anywhere I'm at, I can turn it into a TV remote, which is fabulous. So now I've gone from watching no TV to being obsessed with, watching the next thing. And it's so time consuming, Jim.
TV.
TV is hard.
Who would have known? We call that binge series. So when you you go into a series like Breaking Bad, you can't you watch a whole series in 2 days.
In 2 days, it's overwhelming.
Yeah. You spend 16 hours on a weekend
on one show. Yeah, and you're exhausted. Yeah. You're just this is hard. I had no idea. It's you have to train for it. You have to hydrate. It's a lot of work. But that's my new that's my favorite.
Very
stretch.
Nice.
You got to stretch in
between.
between.
You're hold on. Let me. Okay, let's go. But you're doing that all on the Chromecast, huh? So that's
I love it.
Yeah, it's working for you as a device.
Point, yeah, and I know there's smart TVs and there's all this other cool stuff, but for me in my state of barely being able to use basic cable, it's opened up a whole new world. And like for the girls, you know, my Kindle, Kate uses it constantly, and Kindle's got that really cool Kindle Simple. So I can force her to read for 15 minutes before she can play any of her games that I select for her, which I swear to God, it's making her a better reader.
Oh, good.
Because she is obsessed with getting to some of the games, like Dumb Ways to Die. Have you seen this game?
No.
Little animated characters that like step in front of trains. No, this is my favorite story, and I promise I'll stop after this. Taylor and Kate found this interactive knee surgery app where it walks you through a full knee construction, and you choose the tools, and you make the incisions, and it will ask you questions throughout, like, why are you doing this, and why do you need to like put water on there, or whatever the words are, irrigate the wound and do all this stuff. And she went through and she does this, and she'll do like the full knee constructions. Kate will.
She's a future doctor.
It's ridiculous. And I think it's meant for like med students, but leave it to my 6-year-old to
if they're
do
learning,
it.
I mean, if they're learning knee surgery, next time I tear my ACL,
Call Kate.
I'll come over to your place, and with kitchen knives and a lot of Jim Beam.
Exactly.
We will take care of it. Okay, Carrie, I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to put you in a lightning round here first because we've had just a few questions come in. So let me roll these questions for you, and then just blow through these. First of all, how many chargers to fry bacon? How many chargers does it take to fry bacon?
You know what? That's a
Sounds
job
like a
for the
challenge.
oven. I'm going to go
Sounds like a challenge. We'll have to plug in. We have to have a USB bacon fryer.
There's got to be a way to take like a griddle, like a standalone, and figure out a way. I will find out.
A single piece cooker. So, about that long, and you would flip it open like like when you get a really fancy pen, that thing flips open. And then you would lay one strip of
lay
baking,
one strip, yes.
close it down, and then it's got a little drainage device in the back. And wouldn't that be awesome? Okay.
The grease just filters out. Yes.
Let's see. And so Kevin came late, and he's asking real quick, life expectancy of the batteries there typically for the 2800.
So all of them
500 cycles?
Yep. Every single product is a 500 cycle charge and discharge. So, yep.
Good. And then store them empty or full?
Either. Obviously, if it's empty is 3.2 volts.
Okay.
So it never discharges to 0. So it charges up to 4.2, or 4 charges down to 3.2.
And then and I know you said this, but if you charge it and let it sit, does it stay full, or does it start draining down?
It drains very, very, very slowly. I mean, it can literally sit for weeks and be fine.
Okay, very cool.
And I was wrong. It's 3 up to 4.2, back to 3. As soon as I said it, I was like, no, I'm going to totally screw that up.
That's okay. So. I'm sure all those specs are out on the site.
They are.
Yeah, good stuff. And from the site, we talked about that there's the deal. Kevin Schoonover is our deal guy in our community. And so he's always finding deals, and you guys are running on and tell me which device is the $40 deal going on, right?
It is our 7800 Magic Cube. And so it's got the 2 pieces of hardware. You can charge 2 devices at a time, 7800 milliamps, yes. Yeah,
it's half price, $40. That's a great price, to be honest with you. And I was looking on Amazon. You can get them on Amazon as well. So from your site a little more, but on Amazon a little cheaper.
Not necessarily. We actually run deals pretty often. We're going to have another one coming up for Valentine's Day. We have a really cool dual pack. It's 1 black, 1 pink. And I think the MSRP is like $59.99. So it's basically 2 Magic Sticks for $59.99. And it's kind of a cute, romantic, that's kind of a nice thing. So,
You guys have a store here in Omaha?
We have multiple locations where it's sold. Like Nebraska Furniture Mart, you can get it there, Z Wireless, those types of places. So, yeah, you can find it all over. But PowerOcksUSA.com, 1R in Powerocks, free shipping all the time. Pretty sweet.
No, it's a pretty good deal, and I'll leave all those links if you're watching this or listening to it after the fact. I'll have all those links in the show notes. You can head out to theaverageguy.tv and find this. Carrie, it's great catching up with you.
Yeah, you too.
It's been a long time since we've done a podcast, and it's good to go. For a minute there, we got a little silly. We used to do a podcast, the whole thing was that way.
It was all anyone listening was dumber by the end of that podcast for having listened to us.
It was awesome, though.
I
had some of the best time. I'd get done and my stomach would hurt, my cheeks would hurt from smiling. And I'm not saying we don't have fun like that here
Yes.
on Home Tech, but we don't have fun like that.
But we don't. But we really
Well,
don't.
we just don't. Well, Carrie, great catching up with you.
Thanks.
Zadler's right behind you. I'm going to cut you loose,
Yeah, sounds
and
good.
we'll have to. Let's not make it like a year before we do this again.
No.
Yeah,
Anytime.
if you have something new coming up or you want to highlight something, just give me a call and we'll put you on the show.
I will always have new gadgets for you.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good stuff. Well, when you're ready, let me know and we'll have you back on. So thanks for
Sounds
coming
like
in.
a plan. Of course.
All right,
Thank you.
Carrie. Take care. We'll
Thanks.
drop you. Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Good seeing you. Bye bye. John, you can join back in if you'd like. And a couple things while John Zadler's making his way back in. Just to highlight a couple things as John. Oh, there he is. Hey, John.
Hello.
How are you? I did an interview with Robert Scoble this week, and last Tuesday. Oh, when was this? Was this week? Yeah, this Tuesday. So just a couple days ago, I did an interview with Robert Scoble. I did it with Gallup, and so the post isn't out yet. But if you head over to coaching.gallup.com, that's kind of my work podcast that we do over there. And if you're a tech guy, you probably know the Robert Scoble name. And so we got an opportunity. My tech world and my strengths Gallup world kind of came colliding together this week. And Robert was gracious enough to give us about 45 minutes of his time to talk about him and how he uses his strengths and the work that he does, and a little bit about Rackspace. And I thought it turned out really, really well. And so if you if you head out, it's in the replay mode right now, coaching.gallup.com. If you're listening live, don't just write that down. Go out later and have a listen. We thought it was pretty cool. And then I did this week release the Fitbit Force video that Mike Howard and I recorded last week. So if you go to theaverageguy.tv, there's a video out there. I debated whether I was going to make a real podcast out of that and put it in the stream, and I decided not to. If you want the audio from that, if I get enough people to say, hey, I want the audio so I can listen on my device, I still may do that. So send me a note, jim@theaverageguy.tv. If I get a couple of those to send me that note, I will make it audio and put it in the stream in a special podcast so you can download it and listen to it as well. About 45 minutes, a 15 or 20-minute review of the actual Fitbit Force, so that's what's on my wrist right there. And then about 35 minutes talking fitness tech and just kind of fitness stuff. And the guys last week really liked it. We had great engagement. It was a whole nother hour onto the show. And a couple of the guys said, hey, we got to do this a little more often. So I'm going to start scheduling fitness in about every other month. We'll do a podcast around fitness and technology, and I don't know if I have enough time to do a whole fitness show, but but maybe every other month or so we can get one show in and get it done. Couple things about batteries as I was researching, John, and I'll have you jump in on this if you've got any insight when we talk about batteries. Just a couple things that I discovered this week as I was doing a little bit of review for this interview, and I guess I knew this before, but I wrote handy things that I know about batteries now. And whenever you can, watch movies from your SSD or your flash drive. So if you are on a plane, that DVD spinner, really takes a lot more juice than your hard drive. Even a spinning hard drive, it takes more juice to run the DVD player than it does the spinning hard drive. And then SSD next, and then flash drive next. I did not know that. So if you can move up the chain, you'll save yourself some battery on your laptop or your device when you are doing that. So it's just kind of good if you can rip that thing. That's a good reason to rip it to the hard drive. There's more good reasons than that, but it will save you some battery power. And then if you keep your phone out of your pocket, not only for radio transmission issues, but today's modern smartphone, and I guess I didn't realize this, needs really some air cooling. It gets pretty warm on its own just doing what it does. And if it's in your pocket and it's not getting the right airflow, it will start heating up. And so leave your phone out as much as you can, or leave it in a ventilated space. Get that thing out. Everybody recommends now, because heat is the killer for lithium-ion batteries. If those things get warm, they wear out a lot faster. They give off a lot more energy, and you don't get as long of a charge the hotter they get. You've probably noticed that before. If your phone gets hot, the battery discharges quicker. And so I said in my notes here, give them some space. And I always leave mine out on the desk when I'm at work. I always kind of leave it out of my pocket. And I do notice if I keep it in my back pocket too long, that thing gets pretty warm. So some advice, John. Anything that handy things and you're muted, so don't forget that. Any handy things about batteries?
No, all I know is that the technology is getting a lot better. I mean, my son picked up one of these iPads, the new iPad, and it's like the thing is so thin. You wonder like where is this battery? And again the CPUs, they use less power, and it's incredible that these devices could be so thin, and however they get the battery in there, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know what I learned this week on the lithium-ion batteries? They're thin little bags that have this that contain this, and so they can stack them up or run them out lengthwise, and so that allows them to get these very, very thin batteries now, and they just continue to get better. And then the other thing I learned in research for this, they are starting to use silicon as one of the components of it, and it is supposed to increase the battery performance by 40%. They've had some trouble. That technology is not really ready yet, and so they've had some trouble keeping it stable. But they feel like in the next couple of years they'll have that available, and we should see a 30 to 40% jump in battery life even more. Or they can just make the batteries thinner and lighter, and it's not such a big part of your device going forward.
Yeah, because like you said, like I mean, these companies like Intel and stuff like that, I mean, especially Intel, right? They came out with that the new CPUs and stuff. That what is it? Haswell? Is it the
Haswell.
Haswell
Mm-hmm.
chipset?
Haswell.
Yeah, it's like it's like we have to make these devices. We want them to last longer. Battery like technology is like going up not exponentially, just a little bit every time. And it's like, where can we get the most gain? So in this case, they say, okay, well, we'll try to make a low power and low heat CPUs and stuff, because the batteries can't keep up technology. It's not advancing fast enough. So if that would all of a sudden, somebody would come out with a new technology and say, look, this is like, this will last forever. Then I don't know how devices will be. Maybe they'll be smaller, like in the case of with the like you have the the phones, the watches, and those Fitbits and whatever, all that stuff there. It's like maybe now batteries can be even smaller and give you your 8-hour charge and stuff. I'd like to see battery technology, especially in cars, right? Doesn't it car batteries
Well,
are really heavy and
yeah, they are heavy. Well, they got to have crank power, right? You need that chemical reaction for the crank. And I even think, like, so I have an '06 hybrid, and that if we could get those batteries lighter with the same with the same crank in it or the same power associated with it, I'd be a lot better off, right? I get even better gas mileage than I currently get today, because those batteries are heavy. They're about they're about 1,000 pounds worth of batteries that are in that. I think no, maybe they're not much, 800 or so. It's quite a bit. They're pretty big. They sit underneath the entire back seat.
mm-hmm.
So if we could just get better, and I think we are getting better. I think that's the point. I think batteries continue to make some improvements.
Well, what about UPSs? I mean, are they, you can buy a cheap UPS like you can buy a decent one, I mean, I don't know. Some
Yeah.
UPSs I have for the computer, it's like the last, you're lucky if you're going to get an hour out of it. It's not like it's going to go for 6 hours.
No,
I don't
you're
know.
not. You're not going to get, not on today's power hungry, monitors and desktop computers for the most part. It does play, when you think about last night on Home Server Show, Dave and I were talking about, how he powers a lot of his equipment, because I have to replace. I'm going to upgrade the studio PC here in the next couple weeks from a first gen Core i3 to I'll probably go with a Haswell Core i5, which will give me quite a boost on the studio PC. But so he was trying to talk me into looking on Craigslist for a used Pro, Windows, Surface Pro, because those got some pretty nice, specs on them from a processor standpoint and a video standpoint. The advantage, of course, is that battery is going to go a while. So if you do have a power outage, it's got a built-in UPS. If you just put it in the dock. So there's some, that's worth a thought in that sense. Dock it and make a workstation out of it. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe I'll just go with the Mac Mini.
Hey, speaking about tablets there, did you see this one there? Did I talk about this tablet? My brother picked up a Dell Venue 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I don't know, I think they're $300. And did you know what? Like, they're called Dell Venue 8 Pro. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't come with Windows 8 Pro.
Yeah, it comes with Windows 8, right?
Yeah. So anyway, so it's like
but it is Windows. It's not RT. It is the Windows.
Yeah, that's it, because it's that their new Atom processor there. So it's basically, I think you can, if you wanted, you can probably install Windows 7 on this device too. Because or any OS you wanted. You maybe XP. Imagine you pull one of these out and then you got 15-year-old or 12-year-old Windows XP on there.
Yeah,
That's mental.
that would be. Hey, what's going on with your camera? It looks you got all fuzzy on me back there. Any?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just playing around with this. This thing gives me focus.
Oh, yeah.
You play around with the edges and stuff.
Yeah, you might have. Yeah, well, that's okay. John, what's new in your world? We haven't seen you. Oh, I don't know, a couple, 3, 4 weeks. What's going on? What you've been working on? What kind of new stuff you got in your world?
One of the things I played around with is I have an old EX470, and I took out the Dremel because you guys were talking on the podcast there. I think what's his name, Joe Miner there. He was saying, hey, I don't know. They were talking about Dremel, and I said, yeah, I better take out the Dremel. See, so I actually right down here on the side of a Media Smart server. I have to try and balance it and not drop it. Let's see. If I turn on the power here, that LED, you'll see it like it'll come up. Because there's very little space in the in this box there to put anything, So see, can you see that on your monitor?
Yeah, I can't see what
Well, you can see like a green light basically.
Yep, I can. Yep.
So what happens is, what's neat is if it's sitting there, because these computers or servers are made to be like headless. So what's neat is you use a software called LCD Smarty, and then you can tell it, okay, I want the weather. Like you can actually get the RSS feeds, and then you'll scroll across the two lines there of 2 by 16 characters. So you can scroll the news feeds, temperature of the CPU, how much disk space you have, what services are running, hard drive capacity, the network speed. If you're downloading stuff, all of a sudden there, you'll see that you can have a graphical representation of how much you're downloading and stuff. So it's a neat little thing that so I decided to chop and put that in there.
Yeah, you've used that thing in a couple different places, right? But in the past.
Yeah, I use it all over the place. Today I actually chopped that up today, so I got that in there. And the other thing I was playing around with was, like I said, with the Dell Venue 8, I ended up connecting it to. I had to upgrade it to a Windows 8.1. What is it there? 8.1 Pro. Yeah, because you need the Pro version to be able to add it to a domain. If you just Windows 8 or 8.1, there's no domain. You can't add it to a domain, so you have to use the Pro version. But I wonder, I can probably download it and install a Windows 8 Enterprise and get that going. That's what I have on that stick there, the USB the SSD drive there, USD, that's Enterprise on there. Yeah, it's the Windows to go.
Right, the Windows to go. How's that working out? Have you been using that much?
Yeah. Every time when my computer gives me a hard time, like it died or not it died, but let's say I'm having a problem with the OS, then it's like I don't want to mess with it. Then I just reboot with that stick in there, and then I get all my Windows 8 stuff. As a matter of fact, it's like I keep going back to Windows 7, even though I have Windows 8.1 and the Media Center stuff. I don't know, I'm a little nuts there. I like my eye candy. I like my arrow. I don't like the way Windows 8.1 has, like the pages, like usually when you open up sheets and stuff, it's always like a full, well, not full size, but like let's say you open Outlook. Yeah, Outlook is like a white, there's no border on it. It's just like a white square. Then you open up, let's say Word, you open up a few pages. Sometimes it's really hard to tell the difference between where one window finishes and one window ends because it's just like, white pages sitting on top of each other, and there's no border. Whereas when you use like Windows 7, you have like especially if it's Aero Glass, you have that see-through sort of like border, but it's a border all around. First of all, it's more color, and then there's a border all around. So when you have pages sitting over each other, okay, this one's in the front or this one's behind. It's a little bit easier on the eye, and it's a little bit pleasant. So I tend to, since I have an SSD drive, I don't want to make it like dual boot. So I just run it Windows 7, and then when I want to play around with Windows 8, I'll throw in that, I'll reboot and off the Windows to go stick.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Ah, very cool. Yeah, I was talking the other night about, I think just last night on Home Server Show, I have not moved any of my studio stuff to Windows 8. Everything works real well. In fact, I used to be a guy that would refresh the PC with Windows 7 or whatever once a year. Like end of the year, I'd always get, have some time off at Christmas. Everything would get reloaded, fresh, new instance of Windows 7. the current setup I have right now, it's been 2 years since I've done anything with it. It keeps rolling along. I just haven't had too many problems, although, I'm going to change out the chip and board on one of these here first. I guess I have to buy new memory too when I do that. And it's been 2 years. And, I was thinking, oh, okay, when I swap all that out, I'm going to reload the operating system. Do I go to Windows 8 on the desktop, or do I? And I've gotten kind of spoiled. I've got 8 on, or 8.1 on the RT device.
But what's nice is if you have a
touch.
bunch of multiple devices, because one nice thing about the Windows 8, and I don't know if it's a trend just me because I'm getting older, like maybe before I had lots of different software, but now because you can have like tablets in your phone and whatever, a bunch of multiple devices, you tend not to always go to your PC. Before, you always went to your PC to get any information, your email, let's say, or whatever, So you loaded up all kinds of games and so forth. All of that stuff went on your PC. That was your go-to place. Mm-hmm. But now, because you have multiple devices, you say, you know what? I don't need to set up the email on my PC. Why am I going to go sit down at the desk when I could just pull out my phone and find out my email there, or tweets, or whatever. Right. So a lot of the stuff is like you tend not to put more a lot of stuff on your PC. And then the interaction with what's nice with Windows 8 is if you have the phone and the tablet and the PC. Well, when you log in with your Microsoft ID, it brings in like all your, especially the Windows 8 apps. It'll bring the Metro apps. It'll bring them all into the PC. So you don't have to run and say, okay, install this app, install all that. All those apps are there, and then all your email is configured and stuff like that. So there's less of a when you have to go to do the refresh, it's a lot more simpler.
Yeah. No, that does work better on Windows 8 for sure. I've done a few of those. I've set up a couple test boxes, and I've installed Windows 8 in VM just to kind of have an OS that's out there. And what I really like is that feature. It says, hey, I've got a copy of Windows 8 somewhere that you've loaded up to the cloud from a configuration standpoint. Do you want to use that, or do you want to use a fresh instance? Right? It kind of gives me that choice of pulling all that stuff in or doing a brand new clean install, and I like that. That works out pretty well. I mean, that's one of those things that, maybe once I get the PC set up the way I want it, every time I load Windows 8, I want it set up the same way as my other one.
Yeah, or if in the case if you have the Windows Home Server, that's what I like about it. Even with like I say, I stick with Windows 7. The Home Server is like it's backing up every day automatically. So then.
Okay, did you guys lose me, or did we just lose John? We'll see if John comes back. Can you guys still hear me in chat? Real quick. Just see if
it's in there. It's in. It comes back really quick. A restore from Windows Home Server, it doesn't take a long time. Or the other thing is if you're playing around with software and you're gonna, you might deliberately or accidentally messed up your system. So he says, let me make sure I have a backup before I mess things up. And then then you play with your new software, and if you messed it up, well, then you do a restore from Windows Home Server. So Windows 7, at least if you have with Windows 7, if you have Windows Home Server, it's great. But Windows 8, you can just hit that refresh key and stuff. The one thing I want to try and do is to restore the tablet there, because there's a way to actually get into the BIOS. I think you have to hold the power button and the volume down, then it'll actually boot into the BIOS. Then I think you can hit a key and say, look, boot off a wireless network connection. So that's something that I haven't tried, but I'll try and play around with that. See how long it takes me to break this thing.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, I lost your video here. 1 second. Let me see if I get this. If I can get this back. 1 sec. Yeah, we lost you for just a second, and then now we lost him completely. All right. Hopefully John will come back here. We'll give him just a second to make his way back in. While we're waiting for John to come back in, I just brokered a couple deals with John to get him back on Home Server Show. We got a couple shows coming up. Here he comes. February, March, and April. We're going to have John back on. Home Server. All right, there we go. Yeah, your bandwidth got really crazy there for a second, and then we just lost you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Well, hey, we got you some new equipment as well. So why don't you hold out the new mic?
Here's one thing.
Yeah, we got some earbuds for you.
And the mic.
Yeah, new microphone. Very nice. So we got I've never liked your sound, John, and I just like phooey. Let's just get a mic to you. So we got one shipped up to Canada. Do you have any problems getting that through customs? They take care of it for you?
Yeah, the guy, no problems. The guy, mailman there, he's a nice guy. You know, he shows up. Here's your box. Don't have to sign for nothing.
Nice.
Have a good day. It's like,
Nice.
thank you.
Did the birthday card help at all, or that just doesn't matter?
Well, yeah, it helps because then they try and get you with the taxes, you know, customs and whatever. They try to find a different way to get some money out of you. Especially, you know, our postage. That's the other thing, because like Canada Post, there, like usually the 1st of January, it goes up. And for us, the regular first class postage is 63 cents. And I think as of January 1st, it went up, you know, and usually goes up at like a dime every year or something. It's going from 63 cents to $1. So that's a big increase.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that they're going to be cutting they want to cut $5 million from their budget and stuff like that. So they're going to, I'm used to home delivery. I don't know about you there,
Yeah.
but, you know, the main line rings the bell and that's it. Some of the new developments, they have those super mailboxes. You guys got that, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're not in the 20s there.
No, U.S. Postal Service is having the same problem, right? They're not making any money. And so
but
you
guys run on Saturdays or Sundays, right?
Not anymore, no.
Yeah, until whenever.
Yeah.
How long ago they cut that?
A couple months ago.
Yeah, us this year. We never had Saturday, Sunday delivery. Forget it. You guys got it good. Well, you had it good at least.
Well, we had it. It's no more. Yeah, they're really trying to cut back. It's, you know, you would think U.S. Postal Service, with all the shipping that's going on, you know, this is a situation where they let UPS and FedEx really get into the shipping business, and if they could have jumped on that and been competitive, they probably wouldn't be in the predicament they are in now. They should have owned that, and they, you know, like the railroads did, they just kind of turned everything over to trucking, and so they don't control it anymore. You know?
Yeah, because, you know, this is why I find surprising. Like, the guys were in the business, they sort of like had the monopoly, you know. Yeah. And then, you know, it's like, how can somebody come out? Like, I remember back, I don't know, 20 years ago, it's like, you know, everything was done by mail and first class, and then your special delivery and all of that stuff. And then, you know, Pure Later was more or less Pure Later that kind of got the foothold, like here in Quebec there. And they started showing, and it's like, you know, they're able to compete. You know, it's like the other guys have all those resources. Why don't you just drop your, you know, drop your price low enough that the guys can't come in? Just like cable companies, right? Our cable guys, and like they charge so much for the internet that the little guys, you know, well, they charge so much that the little guys could get in because they're saying, well, those guys charge so much and we can probably do it for less. Whereas if the cable company said, you know, internet cable, I'm saying, you know, if they drop their prices low, then, you know, because they already have that infrastructure and stuff like that, it'll be hard for the new guy to come in.
Right.
But it's like, no, they charge you astronomical, so then those guys say, hey, we want a piece of that pie, and they have, you know, they can make enough money from you to buy the whatever infrastructure they have or use the because they have to, like, I don't know how it is in the States there, but like in Canada, like let's say Bell, you know, they have to like give out their lines, so they have to allow the little guy to use their lines, like their infrastructure. You know, the guys don't have to pass a new wire to your house. You know, they could. We'll use those poles over there.
Right. Yeah. Could you imagine if you had 2 or 3 wires coming into your house? You know, how expensive that infrastructure would be. And so, yeah, no, they lease those out. They lease those lines back out. But yeah, you know, you're right. What happens is the incumbent builds in too much middle management, and then then they get big and bulky, and they can't be nimble, and they can't change, and so then somebody else comes along and gets that done. Unfortunately, I think United States Postal Service, FedEx, and UPS, the 3 major carriers, DHL to some extent too, they're all big bloated companies that, you know, UPS makes it. UPS and FedEx make it because Amazon and eBay, you know, pretty much keep them afloat. But it'll be interesting to see what happens here in the United States with mail. And I still get junk mail. And I still get, you know, I'm like, really? People are... Christian, I was talking with Christian. I need to send him some money. And he's like, I'm like, hey, what a PayPal account do you want to send it to? And he doesn't like that because he loses money in the transaction. And he's like, can you drop it in the mail? And I'm like, drop it in the mail? What? What is a check and what is mail? I can't tell you the last time I wrote a check. So I got to find a better way to get it to him. So, you know.
Well, I know a friend of mine. He sent me one time. He wanted me to buy some circuit boards, and he sent me money through PayPal, but there's a way of going through PayPal where
Donation.
it like doesn't cost. Yeah,
Yeah,
donation.
send him a donation. So
For buying.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
yes,
works.
yes,
John, let me land this. We'll stay around a little bit
Okay.
for the post show. That way we can keep this about an hour. And so I want to thank Carrie Adams for coming on tonight. Carrie, good friend of mine. Always enjoy
job.
podcasting with her, and she always does a nice job. So Carrie, thanks for coming out. Talking a little bit about batteries, a little bit of a sales pitch in that, right? She's a friend of mine, and she's working for this company. I thought they had some interesting battery options for you, and so it's one of those kind of things. We know somebody on the inside of the business, so if you were ever going to buy something like that and we're worried about the support, well, hey, you got somebody in the family. And Powerocks, 1R, Powerocks, PowerOcksUSA.com is where you go, running that special deal. I may buy one of those, 7,800 milliamps for $40. That's a pretty good price for batteries. Want to also let you know I've been podcasting with Dave Jackson on Saturday mornings. Ask the podcast coach. We have a good time. Although this weekend, I stayed up really late. We had a release at Gallup, and I stayed up really late till about 2 in the morning. Set my alarm, forgot to plug my phone in to the power, and I guess the battery didn't make it overnight. So I overslept on the podcast and had to enter in about 30 minutes late. Dave Jackson was very gracious with me, but we're over at schoolofpodcasting.com if you want to check us out. And it's a fun little podcast on Saturday mornings, 9:30 Central, 10 Eastern, 10:30 Eastern, Saturday mornings over at schoolofpodcasting.com. Don't forget, and I want to say thanks for funding the Tech Scholarship Fund. So if you're out there and you purchase from Amazon, theaverageguy.tv/Amazon, or amazon.theaverageguy.tv, either one of those get you there. You guys can still continue to buy, so we're having a good month, almost up to $100 for the month, and we've still got another week or so to go. Both December and November and December were record months for us. So if you're interested in testing something out, and I'm getting really close, and I think I have enough for maybe even a big item, so a couple $100, we're going to buy it. And I think I'm going to limit this to the U.S. only, John. Sorry, because it's so expensive to ship it around, to get it to you, those kinds of things. But a bigger item, ship it around, because it would be cost prohibitive for you to ship it back into the United States. This is the deal. You get to keep it for a month, and then you ship it on to the next person that wants it. And it'll be like, what do they used to call those? Cakewalks? The last person still standing gets to keep it. Something like that after it makes its way around. And so if you want to try it out, you can request it, basically like checking it out from the library. And I would be interested in your ideas. Jim at theaverageguy.tv. Just send me some ideas. I may, or depends on the device. A good one, I think one of those Synology boxes are about, I think they're $178 or something, maybe $200 without drives. So you'd have to put your own drives in it. It'd be cheaper to ship it that way anyways. But let me know. I'm interested in what you want. If you've got a single unit, we've got somebody out kind of testing a Wi-Fi enabled. It's got the cards, the memory cards going. It's this all-in-one. We got a review coming out on that. John did the Windows to Go device in there. So we've got a little bit of money out there. Fruitcake. We got a little bit of money out there in the Tech Scholarship Fund. If you want to petition me for that, Jim at theaverageguy.tv, and we can try that out as well. Let's see if I've got anything else lined up here to talk about. Lots. I mentioned this earlier a second ago. Don't forget, I've got the Fitbit Force first look out there at theaverageguy.tv, and the interview with Robert Scoble over at coaching.gallup.com/live. If you want to check that out, that would be great. We are live every Thursday night. We got a whole host of guests coming up over the coming weeks, and really excited. We have Amber Gott coming from LastPass. We try to get her on about once a year, talk about security and some of those kinds of things. So she'll be coming on, and all kinds of interesting things. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out at theaverageguy.tv live. Revamping the Home Server Show. We'll be renaming this to Home Gadget Geeks. Revamping the Home Server Show to Home Storage Geeks. That'll be coming up here in the next couple weeks. Moving to Tuesday nights, so if you're a faithful listener of that, homeservershow.com. I don't know what Dave's going to do with that URL, but right now, homeservershow.com, Tuesday nights, Dave McKay, myself, John Zadler, about once a month, we talk home server stuff, as well as cloud storage and some other things all around the home server concept. Love to have you come out and get involved in that as well. We'll be back next Thursday night. I've got some travel coming up. I think I got one more Thursday night, and then I'm out for some. It's time to make my annual pilgrimage to University of Southern California for some recruiting, and I'll be out during that time as well. But lots of good stuff coming up. Join us Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, theaverageguy.tv/live. John Zadler, thanks for coming. Stay around for the post show. John and I are just going to kind of shoot the breeze and talk about some stuff. We'll see you back here. Thanks for listening, and we'll do it all again next week. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.